The presentation will be done in two parts where the first part will involve reflection of my own works with task 1 and 2, and the second part would involve the reflection from the peer assessment of other students' reports. When I first enrolled, I thought the subject is going to only involve advanced wastewater and solid waste treatment design, which would contain critical calculations from prerequisite hydraulics and hydrology and principle of environmental engineering. But after getting an understanding of the subject contents and the assessment task, I was able to improve my perspective. This subject provided me with an opportunity to introduce and improve my skills in preparing cultural and heritage impact assessment and the technical design of a land-based effluent treatment site. From the scenario options provided in task 1, I chose to do option 1 based on Napru sewage treatment plant because I did not have any idea on cultural and heritage impact assessments, and I thought it would be easier if I utilized the resources given in the subject rather than doing a scenario of my own choice. Initially, I found the concept of CHIA report hard to understand. The assessment guide sheet had several words from the Maori language, which made further confusion on assessment task requirements and the cultural aspects. After going through the lecture video and doing several external research, reading and analysis, I was able to get an idea of the CHIA report. I understood that its purpose is to assess existing conditions and analyze how the proposed development alters it and identifying potential impacts on cultural and heritage attributes, with a recommendation of alternative mitigation strategies. The sample task 1 from previous semesters was a huge guidance which gave me a basic understanding about cultural and heritage impact assessment structure and components. The task 1 took more than the expected time to complete than I initially thought, but I was able to fully understand the concept of cultural and heritage impact assessment in the end. Task 2, the effluent irrigation design, was similar to my initial thoughts, which involved critical design and complex calculations. The task involved the integration of the knowledge of chemistry, geology, soil, and water. The Excel spreadsheet with the formulas assisted me in performing my calculation with a high accuracy and speed. The lecturer's consultation session was helpful in fully understanding the Excel spreadsheet and collect the rainfall data from the Bureau of Meteorology. And again, the sample task 2s from the previous semesters were a huge guidance which gave me a basic understanding of the effluent irrigation design components and report structure. I would say that I found task 2 more easier to understand and complete than task 1 since it involved a lot of guided calculations from the Excel spreadsheet. Overall, the subject provided me with an opportunity to work with projects based on realistic scenarios, improving my skills in investigation, analysis, problem solving, and decision making based on cultural sensitivity and impact with the application of environmental engineering concept to solve problems. Additionally, I also improved my transferable skills such as data handling, report analysis, research skills, and multimedia communication. I strongly believe that this learning can be applied in future as an engineer where I would often involved with confidently making decisions based on available data to solve problems taking account of the local culture involved with the project. And now we will be moving on to the second part of the presentation. For this task, I would be utilizing the SOLO structure of learning outcome assessment criteria to assess the 3 reports from each assessment task. For the peer review of assessment task 1, I have been provided with 3 reports, C11, C12 and C24. C11 has chosen to do a scenario of choice, which is a road development project in the Blue Mountains area, while C12 and C24 have chosen the Napru sewage treatment plant scenario. After reviewing the reports, I would say that all 3 reports briefly discusses the project background, objective and methodology. It all describes the land area, environment, impacted community and the past or current use of land as relevant to the proposed project and surrounding areas. It addresses the concern of the community regarding the impact with realistic future growth potential. C11 stated multiple legislation and policies but did not briefly discuss how the legislation impacts the projects and assessments. C24 only briefly discussed 1 out of 3 legislation while C12 have briefly discussed all three legislation and its impact on the project. Reflecting on report C12, it has a big paragraph of objective which I would choose to avoid since I would recommend to indicate project objective in dot points for easy understanding and reading comfortability. The report C24 used a table to summarize and assess the impact severity on the culture, which I think is a suitable element to use in a GR report. It would certainly assist the readers to get more understanding of the likelihood and the impact range on the culture. I would certainly use this element in future GR reports. All three reports have recommended satisfactory strategies to minimize or mitigate the cultural and heritage impact on the site. I would classify the three reports as Solo 5, which perceive structures from many different perspectives and transfer ideas to new areas with competence to generalize, hypothesize, and criticize. I found C12 as the best report out of other two, and these are my scores for the reports depending on my review. So I gave C11 8.5 out of 10, C12 9 out of 10, and C24 8.5 out of 10. For the peer review of Assessment Tasks 2, I have been provided with three reports which are ED5, ED11 and ED17. The report ED5 is well structured and briefly discusses the background, statement of problem and the objectives of the projects. The report only provides the calculation evidence for the forage grass which was initially recommended by the Council. As per my views, the report should include the calculation of alternative crops as well as a formal and professional requirement. However, the final recommendation of ED5 is maize, which has greater treatment area than the plant lucerne. The decision-making process of the report took account of the storage capacity when recommending the irrigation crop, which is not an essential requirement by the Council. I would describe the report ED11 as not critically analyzed. It failed to discuss the land treatment to be used, whether it's going to be slow rate treatment process or overland process or rapid infiltration. The report discusses about the alternative crops that could be used for the treatment site and does not provide with the data used to perform the Excel calculations in the appendix. The pre-application treatment has been generalized with stating the advantages only. It does not specify how the treatment will be done to achieve those advantages out of it. The report recommends utilizing lucerne with white clover for an optimum benefit. However, it does not further discuss or specify the final treatment area and storage volume that would be required for the irrigation on different seasons in a year. The conclusion of ED11 is too short with mentioning the request for additional investigation and does not briefly discuss the report findings. The report ED17 is mostly well written and structured, briefly discussing regulatory requirements, statement of problems, objectives, and scope of works. However, this report does not recommend any specific alternative crops and only provided with the calculation evidence for forage sorghum. The report just concludes that a high nutrition uptake crop would reduce the land required for the land treatment, showing forage sorghum as an example with the additional investigation requirement. Based on my review, I would categorize ED5 as Solo 5, ED11 as Solo 3 and ED17 as Solo 4. And these are my scores for the peer assessment task. I gave ED5 8.5 out of 10, ED11 6.5 out of 10 and ED17 7 out of 10. Reflecting on those reports, ED5 identified the objective in two different ways such as environmental and economic. I would consider using this element in future reports as it elaborates and improves the understanding of the report purpose. Overall, I found the task 3 as effective as I could self-reflect on the skills and knowledge which I gained throughout the semester. I got additional perspective on the thought and decision-making process of different students and end up finding new report elements that I could use to improve my own work in future. Thank you.